today we're going to finish this up. We'll put in some foam coming up into these waves up in here, foam coming over the rocks, and of course finishing this wave out, breaking over this area here. So what we need to do is grab your liner brush, grab a little bit of the mineral spirits. That take, we're going to grab the lighter gray and start back here. So the same color as this foam back here. So we're going to grab that lighter gray and start putting in some of the foam here, and then we'll bring it into the wave. So you want to get it kind of fluid, not real runny, but you want some fluidness to that. You want it kind of wet, not too runny, but you want it to flow good. Now when we're painting this, usually with the liner brush, you paint with it like this, on a straight line. This time, for laying down the foam, we're going to use it sideways. And when we do that, the brush is going to skip. As it's skipping, it's going to create its own foam pattern, which you'll see in a second here. That's what we want to do throughout this whole thing. We're not going to paint with it, we're going to push it. Almost like using it like a wrap brush, the same way. So we'll come over here and we'll start putting down some foam and just push it sideways. See how it's making its own foam lines going out there? That's what we want. We want something more like that. So it breaks up a little bit, makes little patterns like this, little details that are in here. That's what we want. Just keep going. As you're doing it, it's kind of like an abstract. As you're painting it, you come up and you'll see there's a certain area here that looks like it should connect. So you just connect that with the tip of it. Come down, and just connect that up like that. So that foam coming up that way. It's just what the right consistency is. I'm just going to go right along everything here. Just push it every now and then. If you get a big blob like that, just kind of work it out. Make it into something. You know, just come up here like that. A little coming down that way. Got it. And now we've got a wave coming up here, one here. So we follow it this way. Come up here with that. Like that. Just follow your wave forms that you've laid down yesterday. Just kind of follow it through. Again, every now and then you can draw it in. When you need like a larger area, then just start pushing it. See how the brush is sideways there, pushing it? That's what you want. You can see how it's starting to take form. It's starting to look like foam. It's laying up the water there. Just follow your waveform, how it's laying down into the flat area, hitting the foam there. And when you're coming up with this, like where I've got mine right here, it's coming up, and then it looks like there's a wave that's coming this way. So when you're seeing it going that way, follow that through with your brush. Start down here, start up, just moving it like that. Just give it a little light pressure, move it. Don't put everything in a straight line. You can come, just move it up and down, back and forth. As you're going out, let it fade out, because some of the parts are going to be a little brighter, some are going to thin out more. And we're going to use that when we come in here. We're going to have it brighter down here, and it's going to thin out more as it comes up top, because the wave is going to be darker, especially up in this area. See that? Just follow your wave along. Tip of it every now and then, push down a little bit, see how I'm pushing down on that, push down a little bit here, a little bit more. It's all about pressure at this point. Pressure and pushing, it's not really painting. And just like the rat brush, the cool part about this is see how the brush actually makes its own foam up there. It's a lot of little detail that I wouldn't put in if I was painting every little line. Plus it looks a lot more natural that way. Like this break up in here, foam does that sometimes. It breaks up into little bunches rather than all just streaks. It's all about using just the half strength. This one. Just kind of connecting the dots where it looks like it should be. Onto here where I have this wave breaking, it's going to be a dark area between this water and where it's breaking. So I'm going to make a line that's separating the two. Just kind of separate the two. This. In this area, if it's breaking up more, maybe I'll come up here and then up closer to the actual wave. And you can see where it's like this is the wave in front of that tree. Here, same thing. And you can see how thin I'm using it. It's almost a wash, but it's not quite. You don't want it that thin. Now before we go any further, what I do again is I'll take that smoothing brush and I'll just slightly go over it. And that smooths out that foam. And again, it looks just like if you've ever watched foam on water, it hits the water and it dissipates into it. This will make it look like it's soaked right into the wave. Again, just gently. And the same principle is this. Areas that you find you like the details, stay away from that. Other areas, like maybe in here, you can hit a little bit more. Just follow your wave. Just kind of like that. Yeah, that's making it look like it's actually part of the water now. You can see how the foam is starting to take effect. Now we're coming up into the wave here. We do the same thing. Get real thin paint on your brush. And not too much this time because we want it to actually start fading out by the time it gets up to the top. Now again, we're looking at the wave. Always be conscious of how your wave is forming. We've got this wave. We're saying this wave is breaking and it's breaking this way. If it's breaking that way, that means the foam is coming up this way. So don't put in foam this way. You want foam to follow the wave, the flow of the wave. So we're going to start down the bottom here, and we're just going to push that up a little bit. And again, just wiggle it kind of like that. Again, the sideways approach is the best. And you can see how it's looking like the foam is actually going into the wave. And every now and then just make little squiggly lines like they would come down. This foam kind of breaks up like that. Just use your imagination with it. And down the bottom, always make it a little bit thicker. Here, same thing. Again, take your smoothing brush and smooth that out. Just a little bit. Again, very light touch. But this is always a light touch with it. And up here on the top of the part, you can hit a little bit more to kind of knock that back a little bit. You can see it'll start getting a little darker up there. That's what we want. It's like the shadow of the wave up top and it's lighter down here. Now you can see how it's starting to look like foam just coming up, and it's very free form. Again, that's because you're using the side of the brush. You're not using the point of it. Every now and then you use a point, but most of it is just the side point. You don't have to cover every area. Leave a big empty space every now and then someplace. If you get a little too much up here, don't worry about it. We'll knock it back with the smoothing brush. So bear comes out. Back down into the water part again. So we're going to be going this way with it. Smooth out your area that we just did. Again, very lightly. You're just hitting it just to smooth it out. Again, where it's lighter up here, you can just come in, just hit it a little bit more, and you just put it right out on top there. With this wave up here, we were into the grays. Again, we wanted to keep it grays, keep it in the distance. Now we're back up to this color. We need to match the foam that we had here. Take a little bit on your palette knife, just match it and just see if that's the right. Like sometimes, like here against your white palette, it looks a lot darker than it is. It looks very dark here. When you put it up against your painting, see how light it looks? You always kind of compare it that way to see if that's the right intensity that you want to work with. Like this is. Again, same principle. Get a little bit on your little mineral spirits on the brush. Now again, take a look at your waveform. And we're saying that this wave is breaking this way. This one seems to be breaking more that way. So we're going to be coming in. So we're looking at this, and we're seeing a highlight here. We're saying, okay, this is another wave in front of this one here. So we're going to start here, where we're going to start laying down the water that's coming up this way. So let's just follow this line just so we have an idea of where we're going with this. Again, just the side of the brush. See the nice little detail it makes in there? That's what's great about this brush. If you push it sideways, it gives you that little tiny details to make it look so realistic. Here, just kind of drawing your outline your way where you want it to go a little bit. Put the foam in down on this part first. And maybe a little bit bigger foam up in here, more. That kind of connecting dot as you're going. Right here, this rock, push it that way. Again, just let it taper off. Good. It's not always going to be thick areas. It's going to be thick parts and thin parts. Brush it back here, put it up a little thicker. Again, if there's an area that's kind of tough to get, just push it over the rock. So when you're done with that, what you can do, because this is dry, which is why we let it dry for a day, come in with a flash, a little bit of mineral spirits on it. Get it just damp. You don't want it wet. You don't want to take paint off. You just want to get a little bit wet just to take this wet paint off. And just follow where your rock goes. And you're just taking off areas that you just come over. Just like that. So if there's certain areas that you need to go flow and you can't go right up to the edge, go over a little bit and you just take it off with your brush. We're going to start coming up with this foam into where the wave is actually tilting up. And again, same principle, you're pushing it sideways. You know, if you want a smaller push, then just give a little bit, you know, just on the point here. If you want a bigger block, then push it down heavy. That's why it's long like that. You always come out thicker on the bottom, and it kind of tapers off at the top. Either way, you can go back. Like here, I'm going thick, and I'm going thin. And then up here, I might go thin, and then I'm pushing harder, and it gets a little bit thicker on the bottom. Get confused, it's like you don't know where you're going with it, just knock it back a little bit. You can see, you can start forming it that way. So again, hit it real light here on the bottom. And a little bit heavier as you get up to the top, where it's getting darker as you get more into the fade. Just like you don't want to get into it. Not too much of it out. If you do, you can always come back in and add some detail to it. Following the flow of the water. Again, just trying to get a little better feel for it. You can see I'm using the side of the brush, not the point. Using about that much of the brush, just push it over. Bigger lump up here. Again, you're following the flow of the wave. Once you start coming down, always keep in mind the flow of the wave up here. If you have a mess like that in there, just come in, just smooth it out until you get what you want. You can always come back in and add some detail to it. You have to start to look like foam again, even though that was a mess. A lot of the times you just use your imagination. It's almost like connect the dots. You see a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's like, oh, you know, I feel like they should be connected up in here. Just connect it up. And if it looks a little off, don't worry about it, because we're going to come back in. Again, see how that's brighter than that is? Don't worry about that. But you can just take this and you can knock that back. Have it look the same kind of same intensity. Low key, very light. Don't hit it too hard unless you're trying to take it out. I can hear where it's not knocking down. I'm just coming a little bit heavier until it knocks it down to the same intensity as this background color here. here, we're going to break it up in this area. Now this to me looks like this wave is breaking up this way, and then it's coming up and it's making a twist. So now that it's twisting out this way, I need to change course and bring my foam up coming this way. So it's like a twist coming up. So now I'm going to start taking this, start making it come up into this area. Now, another thing you can do too, see where this, you have this wave coming up here. In other words, this is coming up this way, and now we got this coming up that way. When the two are going to come up, you're going to have, where they're going to meet, there's going to be a peak up there. You can make that peak, you just kind of draw like about where the peak was going to be, like that. And then keep conscious of where your light source is coming from. From this angle here, when I'm looking at it, it's looking like my light source is this way. From that point, I would make this side of that peak lighter than the foam on that side. So rather than knocking this back, even though it's the same color, this is knocked back, so it's a darker shade. Take this, and every now and then, right up at the peak there, just lay it down flat and just drag it back. Just a little bit here. Just like that. You're just going from the peak down. Maybe from this part up to there. Just like that. Then when you're smoothing it out, just barely hit this because you want to keep that intensity going. But then you're going to smooth it a little bit more down here where it's a little bit darker. See, now it's looking like there's an actual peak right there. And you can, if this looks like this is too much of a straight line, you can grab a little bit. You don't want to go too much back here. Just a little bit, just to give it a little brightness on top. And it just gives that like a peak. Now you can see this like the peak is forming right up here. Now it'll make more sense of why the water is going this way and this way, because we had a peak going there. Again, if there's an area like this part here, I don't like this sharp part in here, just take it, just a little bit more. This just kind of blended into what's going on down here. You can see where it starts to dissipate out. Now it's looking more, it's a lot more natural. You're just sculpting with it. You know, that's what you're primarily doing right now. We're just sculpting what we already have down. We're drawing some lines. Once we put our lines in, then you're sculpting with it. You're smoothing it out, adding a little bit more. Again, a little behind the rock here, this way. And try not to get too carried away with it, because if you get too many lines in there, it just doesn't look right. Give a break every now and then. You know, it's just like music, you know. Sometimes the rest in the music are as important as the notes you're actually making. Some up here, we're going to leave pretty much a blank spot right there. Don't want to get it too busy. If you need that movement, the rocks in the way, just go over the rocks. We're going to take them out a little bit anyhow. See how I'm just using the side of the brush? It'll make its own form that way. Okay, now we're going to sculpt it. Take our smoothing brush and knock back everything a little bit so it's
okay, first thing we're going to do is
grab a more of what we don't want. And come back in before it dries up. Again, get a small brush or flat brush, a little bit of mineral spirits, and take out all that foam that's on top of the rock. So we've got our rock back in front of the wave again. That. And you don't want too much mineral spirits, but then it'll start getting wet up. It'll make a line right up there in the front. We don't want that. We just want to take the paint out. We don't want to move it in front. Back there. Now we're going to continue this, move some more foam up in this general area here. And let's start from, say, where the rocks are. And remember, yesterday we put in the rocks, we put in the dark brown up here, and we took some paint in and we started mixing it down here with the color blue that we had, so it kind of mixed itself together. The reason for that is so that it's going to look like there's rock underneath the water, like it's real thin. We're going to take that, we're going to come up and say, all right, the rock's up here and the foam line is hitting up in that area. That. Thick from where the rock is, you can just move it out a little bit. Some of the water flowing from the rock itself. Pushing the water up the rock. This is going to run down from the water, from the rock itself, as well as coming up onto it. If it's falling down off the rock a little bit like that. Just grab it, just flip it up. That looks like it's falling right off the rock. Again, take your brush, back just lightly here, just smoothing it out. And once you get it where it's smoothed out, and again lightly, and you just see what you want in, what you don't want. It's a little too light, too dark. See it dark down a little bit light. See, it's starting to look like water. Now we're going to continue this here. Say down this way. Just kind of drawing your water in however you see it. Every now and then just use the tip of it just to make a little streak that's up there. You're mixing the two together. You're getting blobs in there and then you're getting little fine streaks, because that's how the water is. You know, it's not all consistent one way or the other. You know, a lot of times when the foam hits, it hits and the wave breaks it, and it actually rips it into a streak. And then it'll come into another wave and it'll all condense into a thicker part. And that's what you're creating here. Use it sideways so you get a lot of nice detail. That's what you want. Every so often, Don't just knock that back with your smoothing brush. And very lightly. You don't want to take out detail that you took so long to put in. So that it blends in smooth with the water. It looks like it's part of the water rather than just laying on top there. Now we can also come in, before we get too much further down, on the foam that's up here, we laid in some highlights. But now that it's dry, we can come back in and add a little bit more highlights to that. So we take our rat brush, and you can take either the thicker rat brush. I'm used to everything with the big, so I'll just use the very tip of it, which I make it a small one. Or you can take the small one. I'll show you how you do that. The other small rat brush I showed you, this one here, this is real small. You can also use that if you want to get into smaller areas. You can't get certain areas, maybe you can red a little bit more. Or maybe you can even come up here and make a little splash. And you can actually start getting more refined and start actually sculpting exactly what you're seeing. So you let the rat brush do most of it, and then you just take what's there and just emphasize a little part over here, wherever you see in your mind. And again, notice how I'm using this. I'm pushing it. I'm not painting with it, I'm not painting it, I'm pushing it. So I usually use rat brushes. If you need to go over the rock, don't worry about it. Take it right back out. And then again, take your smoothing brush and smooth out what you just did. Very lightly. Whatever you do in foam, you always want to hit it, even if you've got a nice thing going, hit it a little bit with the smoothing brush. This foam is very, very soft. You want to keep it that way. You don't want hard pieces up there, even if it looks nice. Just hit it a little bit. You don't have to take all the detail out, but you want to hit it a little bit, smoothing it out. That's what foam is. Again, smooth it right over the rock. We're going to go and take all that out of you later on anyhow. We'll take it out right now. Again, put a little mineral spirits on your brush. Not much, just a little bit. You just want it damp. You don't want it wet. Take it off. See, if you have it too wet, you'll start making a little white streak. That means your brush is a little too wet. You want to draw an edge on here. You just want to take off what's there. Now I'll show you another little trick here. You take your small rat brush, get some formula on it, or I'll tell you what's even better than that. Get some liquid. Liquid is very smooth. Take some liquid, put it onto your palette. mix it together so you can see that it's got the liquid in it. You don't want straight paint because the straight paint is going to be dry on a dry canvas. You're not going to move it. You want some fluidness to it, but if it's too wet and you start knocking it back, you're going to lose it. That just takes practice. After a while, you get to actually feel the paint. You'll know how much paint it's got in and how much liquid it's got in. Did you get it? And right here where the wave breaks up here, okay, this wave is breaking this way. When the water is rushing like that, it's shooting water out, and then back of where it breaks, in back of it, there's water back here that's rushing up to there, and it'll come up and there'll be like a spray behind it. And that's what we're going to do here. Again, get some paint on, not too much, you don't want it thick here. You just take it right from the front, sideways, and you're just pushing it up, just like that. It's just getting like the spray coming in back there. Don't take too much, just a little bit. Then again, take your smoothing brush, go over it. Now at the top part, you want to hit a little bit heavier. You want it to dissipate out as it goes up in the top, like it's going into the air. Now whether you get just a nice little spray going. You can do more than that if you want to. I'll do a little bit more just to show you. Take this, just coming up. Stretch it out pretty good. So again, we can always knock this back where you don't see it if it's too much. You don't want to knock out too much. You want to leave some detail up there where it's streaking up. Just looking at it and see what you want in, what looks good, what doesn't. Doesn't look good, take it out. If it looks good, just leave it in. But it not only looks natural, but it does two things. It looks more realistic because you see spray come there, which it does when you're at the beach, you see that. But also what that'll do, if you're painting a big scene and you've got a lot of water, so you have a ship out in the middle of the sea and the whole thing is just water, and you've got a big wave coming up, when the painting is dry like this and you can put this in there, this lighter color, when you're knocking it back, is going to make this lighter back here, and it'll actually push that wave more forward in case you work all in the same tones. You can see is that it not only softens it, looks more realistic, but it also pulls this away from that wave more because it puts that white, very light haze back there. And you can do that in a color. You can do it over here if you want. I wouldn't do too much of it because too much of anything gets starts looking busy that way. So just a little accent here, a little accent there, just like the green color. You don't put green here, green there, green all over. Because then when it's too much, you'll lose the effect of it. So we have a little foam going there. Maybe we'll put a little bit more over here. Let's put a little over there. Not too much, just a little bit. And that'll be enough. Let's see. Put it over in here. You can just take it, just shove it up. You're hitting it sideways and you're just pulling it up. That's all you're doing. Just knock it back just a little bit. Just hit it all just a little bit and then come back in and see what you like. That, so you take that out more. Like that more, I'll leave that in. That too much. Just start sculpting with this brush. That's all. Got a little spray going there, a little spray going there. So getting some action now. Okay, we're going to put in, or get the smaller rat brush again. And we'll accent a little bit more foam on here. Sure. And you can use liquid with this too. A lot of times when I'm laying down the foam, I like mineral spirits that just seem to thin it out really good to a nice consistency. When you're doing the thicker parts, I like to use either the medium or liquid. So we'll use a little bit of liquid to show you how both of them work. They work the same way. And just come in, you're just sculpting. You already have your wave down there, so you're looking at your wave saying, okay, you know, I want it to be a little bit, the highlights be coming up here, so I want a little bit on this side. Maybe this area. And this is in the shadows, and we'll leave that alone. Just pay attention to what you've already got down there, and just accenting the edges that you have. I'm always pushing with the rat brush, you don't paint with it. You can always just put in a little like spray, just kind of spraying over instead of just the thick part. I kind of like the spray back here, but you've got it in the front one too. You see it in your head. Take your smoothing brush and smooth all that out. Next thing that we're going to do is start putting in our rocks. And the basic on here, we're just going to put a little highlight on there. So grab your flat brush. Grab the lighter color around here. And I'm just going to hit certain areas that that. finish up, as we're just moving on down here, let's finish up this water down here where this foam is coming in, make it a break from the water line itself. So grab our smaller rat brush, a little bit of the thick one, medium, whichever you prefer. Just going to grab the light color, not the white, but the light color blue. I'm going to just here, just like this here. Now, where this is breaking down into the water, let's grab our flat brush. Grab a large one, a smaller one if you want to. A little medium. Grab some of that darker blue. Here, maybe not quite as dark. Let's see if we can just a little bit. You don't want much on there, just a little bit. Just going to break that foam line with the water where it looks like it's blending together. Just follow wherever we think our water might be. The foam starts up in this area like that. Just get a little line going, kind of clean the brush out, and just kind of pull it down. Brush off. And also that it's damp but not wet. Just damp. Take some of that off of there. Mix it right in with the water. Some parts you make a little thicker, some make a little thinner. Get rid of it down to the bottom. Just cleanse it. Shadow. Just breaking it. Just break where the foam is and where the water is. Just make it break there. Down a little bit. See where it breaks that foam. Actually, it looks like it's sitting on top of the water now. And then we're going to grab a liner brush. We're going to continue the foam that we had here. Now we're going to start from the rocks. Because the water is, we can make that whatever we want, but the rocks are already set in place. So we're going to start from there and go out and then go wherever we want to from here. But we need to start at that point. Grab a little paint thinner, make it a little medium. And we're still on the darker side, this ultramarine blue. Not the real light, not white, on the darker side. Start with that. Now we're going to take the water, see the water comes up here, we're going to push that water right up on the rock. Just like that. Just like it was coming right off the rocks. Area, chuck here, just that area, right down, stripping. here, cascading down. Break here, and it's a pool of water up here where it's captured some of that. It's disturbed. So you can use the side of your brush and just let it make its own free form. You come back in with your smoothing brush. Again, lightly hit it, just go over the whole thing so it's smooth, and then start taking out what you don't want in there. Foam coming up here so you get that little more. Continue on the water line. Smooth out a little bit. Smooth it. Like a water crash, right here, rocks. You're still continuing with the flow of your weight. Always be conscious of how your weight is flowing. We'll have a bigger break over in this area over here. Instead of some smaller streaks of foam, we'll make a big break over here. Over on this side. It's rushing through those two rocks. Take your liner brush, right from the beginning part of this, we're going to streak it all back here. So that way we're breaking this way, which would streak it out. So we're just going to go backwards with it. You can either come down this way with it and streak it down that way, or just grab a bunch and just go like backwards. It's a little thicker on this end and it gets thinner as it comes out. Smooth it out. get just a highlight on here where, like this will be the dark side of the foam. You have the highlight on the top side would be lighter, just like this is lighter and it's darker on this side. We got the foam ball this way. So I'm going to grab this lighter shade right here. Just going to hit this highlight. If you're over the rock, don't worry about it. Take some of it down. Get the paint brush, get a little damp, just take that with it. Continue our flow. This foam coming up here. Okay, now that's the darker shade of foam. That's the real light, darker shade. Always sideways, never paint with this brush. Pushing it, just like you do with the rat brush. Okay, now we're going to start doing this water where it's rushing out this way. Take a larger rat brush, grab a little bit of the liquid, grab this darker foam. We're going to follow it pretty much like we did with the liner brush, but now we're doing a bigger area. So we use just the tip of the rat brush this way. Pressing it, just getting the feel of it right now. Let's say that this rock comes maybe it's flattened out into this area. So we're just going to flatten this out just a little bit. Come back down here. So we're going to say it's coming on that, going that way. Just flatten it up over here. Here as well. this, when it comes from the flat part here, again, this white is breaking this way. When it breaks this way, this is going to be this way. It's going to get more of an angle as it goes out, like that. Follow that angle. Take the side of it, just start coming over. Just break it a little bit, just as it was going off to the side like that. Just getting to feel it right now. Just kind of like that. Same thing here. Straight. Angle. Take your liner brush again. Now that we got the basic form to it, now we're going to come back in and start putting in a lot of the detail. Now with this darker foam down here, let's start off with this. We put it here and we smooth it out, but this painting was wet. So we actually have half of this color and half of this color mixed in, which is giving us this right here. Not the brighter white, and it's not dark, it's right in the middle. So we need to take some of this, and we need to take a little bit of the darker. So we mix it up and it comes down to the same shade that this is down here. Side, probably going to need some cobalt. And the best way to see that is to just get it on your palette knife, just throw it right up to there, and apply pretty close to the color. Do the same principle as all the other foam. Get it wet, get some on your brush, and push it. Now we're going to follow where we just made our outlines here. We're going to follow these streaks back. Okay? Take this, and just follow it back up. It doesn't have to be all the way. Just a little bit. You can grab a couple of these and come down this way a little bit. Okay, lower. You can push it on the side, you see what's starting to fit. Doing that, you always get more down here. See how it's always thicker here and then it gets real thin? You always do it that way, a little thicker on the bottom, even here. Shoving these up. It's thicker here, and then it goes smaller and thinner up there. Same thing up in here. A little thicker on the bottom of it. It gives you that flow and the feeling that it's actually coming up. Start splitting it out so you can back. All the way across. And always keep in mind where it's flowing. This is going this way, now it's going to start going straight, and it'll start going backwards. after that. This way, same thing. Just follow the flow of your curves. Your lines are already made in here. Try to keep your paint kind of fluid. Always thicker on the bottom than it is on top. It's always thin up here and thicker down here. See how it's starting to take shape, start coming down. Next we're going to start highlighting some of the border lines that's up here and some of the foam that's down here. Okay, so we're going to need to mix some lighter kind of this lighter color that we've got here for the highlight of the water. Take some of that ultramarine, this white. Take a liner brush. Grab some of that. Now we're going to come with the light sources hitting on top here. So we're saying that this is a flat rock, so we're going to come across this way with it. So we're hitting it, we're looking at it from an angle here. That. It's there. Start following the same direction that we were doing foam down here. We're going to hit the highlights with it. Don't bring it all the way down because it's going to be in the shadow area. At the top this way. Bring it down some in certain areas. Don't bring it all the way down. The edges you can bring down a little bit more because they would show up on the edge part here. Some of it's going to be hidden from the rock. Start following the form. Don't hit every area. Leave a break here. Don't hit it all the way down. The edges you can get a little bit lighter there. So let's smooth this out. Just slightly hit it to it. all the way back here. Just hit the highlights. Now pay attention again to where your water line is. And we're saying that the light source is from over here. So if a wave is coming up here and going down there, it'll hit this side, not that side. Okay, when this wave is coming back up again, you're going to get the light hitting the bottom part of this and shining up. That a little bit. You have a lot of detail, so don't take out too much detail so you don't hit it hard. Just a little bit, just to smooth it out so that it looks more like it flows in with the paint. Remember, it's foam. Again, you've got some over rock there. Just take a flat brush, a bit of that off, the mineral spirits, get it damp. Highlights here. Again, we have a wave up here, so we have a shadow over here. This would be in the shadow, and this would start picking up the light again. This wave here will be on the other side, so we don't hit this side, we just hit that side. You have to pay attention to the waves that you made. Just look at it as what it would normally do when you're looking at it. Just paint it that way. rock. Just take it out. Smooth that over. Just put in here. Just lightly. Start to get some form. I'll put in some more foam coming from this rock, coming down. You take your smaller rat brush or take the bigger one. Grab a little bit of your lip one. Again, we're going to go with the dark one, so go with the darker shade of your foam. The cobalt blue, white, not the white shade, but the darker shade. That rock. Smooth down. So, highlights to that, which is a lighter color. Sprays up on here. Okay, so it sprays up just that's like actually spraying on splashing up against it. Smooth it down. Spray. Now, if you want, what you can do, grab my ball here to keep my hand on the canvas. And then we can get little highlights onto the rocks where the light is shining up on parts of the rocks. You can take your liner brush. Now we're going to, first we'll mix our paint up with brown. Mix in just a little bit of the blue, tone it down a little bit. drag the side of that right brush on there. I'm really beating it on. Do a couple more on this side here. Just a little bit with the light just happens to capture it. One thing you have to do on here is to highlight the bottom where this foam comes down. With a big breaker. You can grab your big wet brush and grab the light foam here. Lift one. Now every now and then if you want you can follow back up with that. Just where it's chasing that foam back up again. Go all over. Down there. Where it meets up with the foam there. Same way we did this spray up there. Just give it a little spray on here. Smooth that out. Just hitting it lightly. And there you have it. Cheesecake. I hope you enjoyed listening.